Because the times
Woke up this morning thinking about
Those summer days.
best friend got caught up when I stayed in Douglasville. Doing some stuff by myself. I'm a
What's good, y'all? So, I got another video for y'all. Before we get into that, be sure to get yourself some merch. Atlanta Boy merch, boy. Frank Ocean, Channel Orange, Love Through a New Lens. People love doing videos on Frank Ocean. I ain't even mad at it. Shout out to my boy at Converse with me.
I made 30 of these 3D prints to commemorate this project. I'll be selling them on my website, but I also want to give one away to someone that answers the question at the end of the video. Enjoy the video, guys. Frank Ocean was born in Long Beach, California.
Yep.
At a very young age, he moved to New Orleans. Frank was always into music and would find himself reciting voices on the radio, such as Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, but most importantly Prince, which made him want to be on the radio as well. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina tore through New Orleans. At the time, Frank still decided to stay, but with the purpose of creating demos over a short period of time, before he left for Los Angeles. He had a point where he just wanted to go, even though he merely had $1,100. At the time, it wasn't too crazy of an idea, because he planned on just going down for 6 weeks. Those 6 weeks quickly turned into 6 years. He stayed in the studio nearly every day for the first 4, writing for artists like Justin Bieber and John Legend. But make no mistake, a lot happened between then. He worked nearly a dozen dead-end jobs where he'd find connections through one-off scenarios. Like when he picked up a backpack from a friend at a studio, which led him to playing some of his own demos. These various occurrences ultimately led him to writing for big artists at the time. But that wasn't really him. He didn't take the risk of LA to write for other people. He was miserable. Although he had a Beverly Hills apartment and a nice job, he just had a breakup and wasn't really doing what he was meant to do. The do-it-yourself mentality came from Odd Future, when he met Tyler in 2011. Around this time he had signed to Def Jam, the label that released his debut, Nostalgia Ultra. He released this mixtape without a dime from them, since he was shafted once he got signed. In fact, he released it for free, and it was a great success. When the label realized his potential, they wanted to re-sign him for the next album. Ultimately, he said he'd do it for $1 million. At this point, we've arrived to the era of Channel Orange, which was written in 3 weeks and further worked on for 9 months. Without its only real detail, the title, this specific orange will always mean something special to me, like the deep red on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, or the bleak white of the Beatles' White Album. With the inspiration of film and video games in his life, it's not surprising that we were given the static-filled start, an action that the player has to make to begin a game, or in this case, the album. This person that he loves leaves him and he's stuck thinking about them. He'll take bullshit if that's all they got, which is overlaid by the same static to mimic the effect that you're in this television or channel. After finding a new woman, he perceives relationships as a similar pain to Sierra Leone, known for their gruesome civil war that lasted 2 decades. He uses this song to project the coming of age, as in this past relationship, he got this girl pregnant. There was such beauty in the relationship, skies, yet so much pain, reflecting on the war in Sierra Leone. There's a very hidden transition in Sweet Life. We now hear the transitions in each song mimic a radio, rather than a television. The track reflects on his life in Beverly Hills, and having a nice car, but this new money can't replace the one that he once loved. The song is reinstated with an outside opinion, a voicemail from a family friend stating that it isn't all about money. Super Rich Kids looks at the toxicity of excess. This track seems the most personable of them all.
Yeah.
It looks at the endless search of real love, because the riches in life feel superficial.
I tell people all the time, like, it doesn't matter where the fuck you stay, bro. You could stay in the fucking hood. That money shit don't matter, bro. Like, it matters to a degree if you have at least a stable base where you can always stay at and you can work on yourself. But other than that, nigga, make your own way. You can do whatever you want. And the person that loves you gonna love you for you regardless of what's going on. They have to learn to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what marriage, my grandparents
We're interrupted
told
with
me.
the sound of
They've been
channels
married for a
changing
long
once
ass time.
again to Pilot Jones. A pilot is referred to the debut episode of a series. The song acts as a debut into meeting this person. and Jones refers to the intense craving. In this case, it's Frank for his lover. Crack Rock refers to his grandfather, an extremely important figure in his life, since his father left at only 6 years old. Although well being into Recovered Man when he was a part of Frank's life, he would dedicate his time to Alcohol Anonymous groups, and Frank would go along with him at his young age. Going along with him instilled the severity and importance of addiction within his youth. Pyramids documents the life of a well-renowned woman, who falls in the life of working at the Pyramid, or strip club. It is based on the renouncement of someone who is perceived as a queen, falling down to the common stripper. Frank takes the perspective of someone who has known her through the entire downfall. He now sees her once in a while now that she's fallen into this life. The beat switch in the song brings us to the present day, where he sees her once in a while, now that she's fallen into this life. Lost encapsulates what Hollywood initially meant to him. Heartbreak, the chance of losing yourself, but most importantly finding his sexuality. Being lost in the heat of it all is what every single character has felt through this album. Frank became lost in the heat of it all after realizing it's been 6 years of him working for others, until he went on and started doing things himself.
Yeah.
This goes the same with coming to realization as a character in Super Rich Kids, being too deep in addiction and crack rock.
I never thought
or
about
the
it like
idea of
this.
finding yourself from being a god to a dog, symbolically in Pyramids. This reference can apply to every single track throughout this album. Monks is about a relationship and the adventures with a female groupie within a tour. The strong but hopeless realization is found within Bad Religion. Although he's come to realization, it feels too late to tell others how he feels deep down. He's too deep in his disguise. Hence the lyric, I can't tell you the truth about my disguise. I can't trust no one. Pink Matter looks at the changed perception of falling in love, which was once a depressing blue matter. The gray matter within the brain is accountable for the sensations such as control, movement, memory, and most importantly, emotions. The height of what he's feeling right now. He puts himself in the role of Jenny from Forrest Gump. It's another tease at his sexuality that he's always felt like he's had to hide. Where'd You Go, Forrest directly refers to the rejection within the final track. End reminds us that we're listening and cruising to a car radio. Each of the figures in his life were looked at in the eye of nostalgia. In Sweet Life, he got in this car, and he's been driving and making realizations of his past. There is a realization in Lost, breakdown in Bad Religion, and someone else exiting the car in the track End. Voodoo, a song by Frank, is faintly playing in the background and you hear the car door open, seatbelt beep, and the engine turn off. Briefly before this release of Channel Orange, Frank gave us a very emotional Tumblr post on who this was all about. Not the girl that he moved to LA with, but rather a recent breakup, with a guy he spent 4 summers with. I was in a Nissan Maxima, the same car I packed up with bags and drove to Los Angeles in. I sat there and I told my friend how I felt. I wept as the words left my mouth. I grieved for them, knowing I could never take them back for myself. He patted my back. He said kind things. He did his best, but he wouldn't admit the same. He had to go back inside soon. It was late and his girlfriend was waiting for him upstairs. He wouldn't tell me the truth about his feelings for me for another 3 years. I felt like I'd only imagined the reciprocity for years. Now imagine being thrown from a cliff. No, I wasn't on a cliff. I was still in my car telling myself it's going to be fine and to take deep breaths. The end marks the conclusion of each person he reminisced about, and also the present, by this man leaving the Nissan Maxima for the very last time. He further professed in the same note that he feels like a free man, and he's grateful for all the experiences that has happened to him, including the one that broke his heart. He's never had more respect for life and living than he has now, ending with, maybe it takes a near-death experience to feel alive. When one is down or lost in the heat of it all, it's hard to take traumas for what they are. Channel Orange takes that outside lens and looks at past relationships and experiences for what they really are. With the conclusion of his present day, in his Nissan Maxima, dealing with heartbreak with a different outlook, and the idea of being grateful for what he's had. Channel Orange was the album that he was able to come out on, after living a hidden life for many, many years. Although we haven't heard much from Frank in the more recent years, social media has helped blow up Lost, once again, over a decade later, which really shows how strong each and every song is off this LP. Lost and Channel Orange have taught us to take that lens and look at experiences for what they are. It taught us that no experience is a bad one, unless you gain nothing from it.
True.
Now I want to hear from you guys. What's your favorite track off Channel Orange and why? Thank you guys so much.
Well, converse with me. My favorite track from Channel Orange will be Crack rock and or Bad Religion and Voodoo. I like Voodoo because it reminds me, if y'all know D'Angelo, his album Voodoo, it reminds me of that album, how he made his voice sound. Only thing I say is live your truth. We live in 2022. I know it's hard for some people, but try to live your truth, bro. If you can live your truth, you'll be okay. You'll have fun and you'll learn how to appreciate yourself and appreciate others. Cause me, I'm living my truth now. I love my girlfriend. So, peace.
Mario the poet.